Hi there, welcome to Neppy Invests. Today I'm going to give you a bit of an update on Brainchip and Novonix. Quite a bit has happened in the past week since I last talked about Brainchip at least. And these are two, I suppose you could call it right now, darlings in the market. A lot of talk about both these companies, both negative and positive. So a lot of people out there are a bit perplexed how Brainchip could be valued at $600 million when it makes no money at all. So I'm going to talk about both where we're at in terms of the technicals and some of the news we've seen. And even though I'm going to be talking about these two companies, they're not two vicious dogs fighting over something. These are just my two own dogs who actually are playing. They look vicious right now, but they're anything but vicious. Let me tell you that much. But before I talk about these two companies, I'm just going to talk about where we're at, or where humanity is at right now. I'm quite excited where we're heading, even though right now it seems like we're in dark times with COVID-19, but I believe dark times always present before we see really bright times. And I think we're going to go through three really major revolutions. You could even say there's four revolutions, but three major revolutions that are going to transform humanity over the next 10 to 20 years. The first one is artificial intelligence, AI. We're already starting to see that, but I believe Brainchip has the potential to play a part in forwarding to artificial intelligence moving forward. Transport and energy. We're talking about I'm sort of talking about self-driving cars, automated cars, and also energy battery technology. Those sort of go hand in hand when you think about it, and Novonix has a role in that area too. I think that's an extremely exciting field during the next 10 to 20 years. In fact, I don't think many people, especially Australians, understand how different their lives will be in 20 years' time. The third one I've got here is work, in particular the counter-urbanisation of the workforce over the next 10 to 20 years. So over the last 30 years, we've seen urbanisation of the world. We've seen people go from the countryside into the cities to work. And I believe COVID-19 has just brought that forward. It was always going to happen, but this counter-urbanisation, or de-urbanisation, if you want to say, people are going to start moving away from the city into country areas. I've already started to see this happen. And in my opinion, CBDs won't be dead, but they'll just have to transform. It's going to be more, I think, just because working from home is going to be more common, and just thinking of working in the countryside just is going to be appealing to a lot of people. House prices will go down all over. I think housing bubbles, that's the end of housing bubbles, no more property bubbles at all. And the fourth one I haven't mentioned here is actually the data revolution. It's already really taking place, where we get data, where we store data, that sort of thing. And we saw just an IPO a few weeks ago of Snowflake, which is a data warehouse online or in the cloud. And I think that's already seeing a bit of a revolution in that, how that plays out. So very exciting times, and the fact that both Brainchip and Novonix fit into these revolutions is exciting. And these are sort of the three fields, even the fourth field, data, is the sort of companies I'm looking to invest in for the long term. So let's go through Brainchip and Novonix. If you haven't, or you don't know what these two companies do, I've already sort of mentioned where they're sort of situated, but Brainchip is more artificial intelligence focused. Their neural network processors called Akita, and that's potentially very exciting. And Novonix is more into the node material for batteries. They've already done a couple of deals with, I think it was Samsung and Sanyo. They also do battery cell testing, and they have a graphite deposit. So very exciting companies, both of these. But there are some, I feel bit of trepidation for both companies. So because of that trepidation, I should disclaim I am not a long-term holder of either company. In fact, I'm not even a short-term holder. So I'm of the opinion and the belief that I'll be able to, if I will become a long-term holder, I believe I can buy in at a cheaper price at some point in the future, just because the volatility in both these stocks is quite high. And I think the sentiment around both companies will ebb and flow. And I think the good time to buy is when the sentiment is at its lowest. A lot of flow of news expected for both companies over the next year or so. So I might miss the boat at one point. In fact, these could be the lowest prices we're seeing right now. But I think that's unlikely. I think there is a chance these share prices will go down in the next at some point in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm not saying in 5 to 10 years the share price will be lower. There is that possibility, but I think I'll have a chance to buy in at a lower price at some point, if I do buy it at all. And the reason I think we probably see at some point lower prices is when you look at some of their fundamentals right now. So just looking at the market cap, Brainchip 612 million and Novonix 405 million. The fact that revenue is fairly low, especially Brainchip, only $13,000. Of course, they've got some potential deals in the pipelines that see that revenue really spike up, but the net loss, quite a high net loss, and operating cash flow, a lot of cash flow leaving the business, so they'll have to improve that. So just based off the market cap and the financials, I just have to say that long-term buys, you have to be aware. And I've got two examples coming up about two companies that were, say, market darlings, a lot of hype around them, who just fell off a cliff because they couldn't fulfill their promises. That first company is LNG. I remember this company distinctly in 2014 because it was a much hyped company. Even the general market, even in all of analysis, were really bullish on this company, and that saw the share price rise from 12 cents to $5, and that $5 reached in 2015. And then we just saw the share price just come down, really fell off a cliff, and it kept on falling up until this year, and it's just gone into administration, and the share price was 4 cents. So you can see if you bought into the hype and just kept on holding, believing in the company, you would have lost all your money potentially. And even if you don't lose all your money, share price 4 cents, your capital losses would have been high. So you just have to be aware, even if you believe a story, just like a lot of LNG holders believed, your belief doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition. There is a lot of risk involved in holding these companies where the promise hasn't been fulfilled. The second company is one company I just did not believe in, 1PG. So the market was very bullish on this company in 2015, and all the talk was it was going to revolutionize recruitment. They sort of had where you put a resume in one page or something, and the employee took that one page and made a decision, something like that. So it was a Silicon Valley-based company where the CEO, who was in Silicon Valley, was even featured in Forbes at one point. I forget her name, but anyway, around at the end of 2015, when some of the financial data started coming in, they weren't making much money at all, even though they had all these deals. Sentiment just changed rapidly. So we went from a share price rising from 16 cents to $4.50 fairly quickly, and then the share price fell very quickly to 16 cents. And then they delisted in 2017. I think at one point they're going to go to some new venture or something. They fired the CEO, or she quit. And yeah, it just shows you, even though you could be very bullish on a company, believe it's going to be do great things for humanity. It doesn't always come out like this. I've seen situations like this over and over again over the last 10 to 15 years. So although I have great hope for Brainchip and Novonix, I also know there is that high potential they may not make it. Now I'm going to go do some charts. So the first chart is Brainchip, just looking at the 3-month daily chart. So we had a really good run up in September. Share price went from about 30 cents all the way up to 90 cents, just shy of $1. Then it's come back a bit on volume. We're seeing volume really decrease over the last week or so, and that's lowering the volatility. And because of the lower volatility, we're seeing day traders losing interest in Brainchip. That's actually good news, especially for those who can't handle the volatility. It looks at this stage like 40 cents is support. So if it goes below 40 cents, I'd be a little bit concerned. Next, I'm going to look at Novonix now, the 6-month daily chart. So previous was a 3-month daily chart. Novonix going back 6 months, seen a really bullish run from in late May into early June, and then a really good uptrend from then on. It looks like a very solid uptrend until we got to Battery Day. And you can only describe Battery Day as a disaster. It seems like this might have been by the rumor, so a lot of rumors that there was going to be a deal with Tesla on Battery Day. Share price opened up massively on Battery Day, so it went to, I think it was $2.40 at the high. I think even their Novonix holding or listing in America went up 120% that day. So this is before it opened in Australia. And then the share price just fell throughout the day. So this was sort of the buy the rumor, sell on the news. There was no news or very weak news given by Novonix management on the day, and it kept on falling. And then it kept on falling on Thursday and Friday. So it's got to a price of $1.17. Really high volume. Really high volume. I don't know, I think the camera went off. Really high volume, which is actually quite bearish. Right now it's reached moving average support, so I like to see moving average support is just when it hits the moving average. That's a 50-day moving average, and that can sometimes act as a support. Not necessarily in this case it will, but sometimes it does. So in actual fact, this is quite bearish. Looking at this for the long term anyway. Now I'm going to go to a very short-term chart. So looking at Brainchip's 5-day, 5 minutes. Just going back 5 days and looking at 5-minute candlestick charts here. On Monday, so this goes back to Monday, the 21st of September. My previous Brainchip video was why I might buy Brainchip. And the first half of Monday, it looked actually quite bullish until we saw an announcement from Brainchip. I think it was 11 a.m. or something like that. It was just a nothing announcement. Something about India and them hiring some Indian coders, something like that. There was a bit of volume on that. Share price got to about 50 cents or so. I found it fairly weak, but I never buy on announcements. Never. That's one rule I do have. Never buy on announcements. Wait to see what happens. So as soon as I did that announcement, I did not buy in for the short term. And we could see a bit of a double, we could see a bit of a high on Monday with that announcement, and then the next high was a lower high. That's quite bearish, and then we're just seeing lower highs continuing throughout the next few days. Looks like maybe that support at 40 cents has hold to fruition on the 24th and 25th of September, and we might be seeing right at the end of Friday's trading potential turnaround. Looks like the moving averages are coming together. Share price is above the moving averages. So potential short-term bullish signal there right at the end on Friday. We see a lot of volume really coming down. So the highest volume was on Monday, volume coming down each and every day, which is quite good because that's weeding out the long or the short-term traders or the day traders, which is what I want to see for the long term anyway. Novonix 3-day, 5-minute chart. So I'm only going 3 days here. Look at the 5-minute chart. You can see opening up on Tuesday, very bullish, got to $2.40, and then a lot of selling came in. And then really at 2 p.m. on Tuesday, well, that should be Wednesday. I don't know what ComSec's done wrong there. A very, very bearish signal. We just saw a price drop off the cliff. Not a lot of selling, but we just seen the price really drop off late on Wednesday into early Thursday. So it went from a price of $1.75 all the way down to $1.18 or so. Over the last day and a bit, day and a half almost, we've seen the share price leveling off. So it's sort of developing a bit of a base, it looks like. But for it to break out above that base, you want to see this base continue before that moving averages, all those 3 moving averages come together. And then we might see it move up with time. So it'll be interesting to see where the share price opens up on Monday. It could open up higher on a bit of a gap, which would be a little bit bullish. Some people might believe you'd have to fill that gap for it to be overly bullish. But the share price is dropping off and the volume is dropping off a cliff also, which is also potential bullishness. So I'd say if you are keen on a short-term trade on Novonix, I think in the next few days might be, we might have some good news, but I'll wait for some confirmation. So that's all I got for today's video for Brainchip and Novonix update. Look, I'm still very excited about both these companies. I just sort of wish they were much lower share price so I could buy in at a cheaper price. So if I do buy in, it will be a cheaper price for the long term. That's not good news for any long-term holders at the moment. So in my opinion, maybe it would be good if I never buy in, because that means I didn't have the chance to buy in because the share price kept going up. So for those who hope I'm wrong, I hope you're right, because I do hope these two companies become big Australian success stories, just like we've had with some other success stories in Australia. It'd be great, just because the fields they're in. It'd be great as we see this human revolution, this 3-pronged revolution envelop the world over the next 5 to 10 years. So that's all for today's video. Again, I'm not a professional advisor. So leave a comment if you want some questions. I don't always look at comments or go through them, but sometimes I do. And again, I'm not a professional advisor, so if you do need professional advice, make sure you see a professional. And there's no point asking me any questions whether to buy this or not. I'm not going to say whether you should buy this or not because I don't want to give you that answer. You've got to decide that yourself. So that's all for today. Have a good day. Bye.